something happens to us, or we get hurt, or trauma happens, we build a bigger illusion in our head. And you know what I'm talking about, that illusion that you get up the next morning and you act like nothing ever happened, and you make yourself happy, and you alter whatever happened in your mind just so you can get up and go the next day. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But then we start doing it so much that it comes to survival mode to us. Meaning that we really start believing our illusions.
But explain to her about how it's so important with the soul and finding yourself is because of the way we live. It's like a duality. And like I was trying to explain to her movie, because every movie and song you watch, you hear, anything is going to hit your emotion. I wrote this all myself, right? And I can just read something to you that probably will comply to you. You know, the manipulated gets manipulated by the illusion itself. The self gets to create its reality to hide to hide the illusion. The first line, it'll make sense to you. The second line speaks of the duality. This is all basically giving you warning of what's going to happen to you, anybody, their whole life, until they jump out of the cycle. But the soul is so important because you know religion, right? Okay, well, what's the first thing you always hear all the time? Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? Okay, well, that's three things they're trying to say to you. This applies for anybody. The Son, the eternally begotten, which is basically the Spirit, the Christ, however people call it, always existed and was not created. That means the little person and the kid that we're talking about, that kind of gets altered in a way. The Father, but not made, meaning you weren't made yet. Like the Father, but not made. Well, there's a lot of ways to look at it. The father spits out the seed to the female, right? They get pregnant. But then also being a kid, mother or father, it don't matter. You're not made yet because you're a kid. You're growing up to become that adult. The Holy Spirit, it's the process from the Father and Son, which Holy Spirit means a continuous being. And that's you of what you'll become in the future. And so that's why it's so important for people to raise their kids a certain way. So I have it all here for kids and shit too, so you understand also how to raise your children, because you don't want them to live your same life, because it will happen, because that's what our brain does. Our brain is like what you look at every day. It's a mirror. And we don't really know what we're doing. We're literally mirroring people, and it's like creating a download in yourself, like a computer. And you and other people a lot out there can't really stop it, because in a certain aspect of your life as a child, you kind of told yourself, like, fuck everything, screw everything, and you started learning on yourself. Started learning on your own, meaning you were trying to learn right from wrong on your own, from what you see, from what you don't see, from what you hear, from actually everything. Like, you started self-soothing yourself. And your dad wasn't really around, right?
No.
Okay, and so this is what's interesting, because the father usually is the one that people usually mirror off, because, you know, a lot of that daddy's girl, especially women, you know, and some fathers end up becoming bonded very, very much, and it creates a spoiled girl, which has a different path. But then for other people that really didn't have their father a lot in the picture, it becomes you're picking up, that would be mother, basically. Your mother would be your spirit. And so you not getting along with her and having differences, whatever age it started at, it created a stop line. And you're like, oh, no, I hear what she tells me, and yes, there are laws, like, you know right from wrong. But when it comes to trying to make your own decision, like, you see it differently.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and so basically at some point, that's where wherever your first big resentment from her came from, that's where you kind of cut off and started learning from the world itself. Meaning you didn't trust in your mom anymore. You know what I mean? And so you kind of started learning on your own. And it really didn't matter what she said, you wouldn't have listened to her anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of it goes. But she'll never know either because it's her own spitting image of her. But that's what we don't know, is that our brain automatically does that no matter what we try to tell ourselves different. And it keeps on doing that throughout the world. You stay stuck in your subconscious. You pick up qualities from other people and you go from there, and you kind of build an identity for yourself, which is not really an identity, but it's the spirit. Everything you become is your spirit. Your spirit is your mind. Your spirit is your soul. People usually don't even find that their whole life. They stay stuck in a cycle and they'll never understand why. Because of the hatred, because of the non-forgiving, because of this and that. And this is why people go to church, because they try to find it. How do I forgive? How do I let go? How do I stop not liking this person? At what point am I ever going to like this person and just have the bond that's actually put a title to, which would be daughter, or which would be mother, like mother wants daughter, daughter wants mother, but they never really get along because, well, our brains, we're not conscious.
Yeah.
We stay in our subconscious our whole childhood. And so subconscious means you're literally downloading. You're learning. And then you become conscious, and then you're like, fuck, what is conscience? And so conscience is basically you starting to make your own decisions, which is very hard as an adult. A lot of it, no adult can actually make their full, blown out, hardcore decision without asking anybody. Without picking up a phone and saying, hey, my friend, or whatever, my friend's friend, if it's not a good decision you're thinking about not making, you gotta go to the point of my friend. Well, that should tell you, hey, I shouldn't be making that decision anyways. But in just natural decisions, like wanting to know what career to go in, wanting to know what should I do next weekend, what do you think about this? It kind of makes me nervous. Any question that you ask or get asked or have a decision to make off of that, you don't make it fully, completely yourself. Because the spirit, we don't even know our spirit. The spirit is the only person who never speaks of the Trinity. Trinity is three, like a triangle, but can hear the whispers of the wind. That's put in the philosophy way, right? The spirit is the only person who can speak to yourself, basically. The Trinity, I consider like yourself, because it's triad. Okay, so who is the spirit is the only person that can speak to themselves. Is you, right? And we don't even get a chance to do that because we're too busy, like with what we've already been set out to do, when nobody actually taught us to become conscious in the first place. Not in school, not in our childhood, not in our teenage years, not in our households, nothing. Because everybody's too busy trying to fix themselves, which is including our parents. Because society throws a big ball at us, right? So basically, you gotta work, you gotta make money, you gotta do it's survival mode, right? So you really never have time to stop thinking. So when you start thinking actually, seriously, and you start talking to yourself, which is your spirit is your soul. And your soul makes you conscious, and from there you can actually figure out what you want to do, your passion, what's going to actually make you money. If someone gets bored, you get sleepy too, because it don't make sense. But this here, it makes sense. Like, you understand. Like, I'm hitting every emotion of yours. I don't even know you as a kid. I didn't even grow up in your household. But it's literally sounding like I'm right there growing up with you. Because you can kind of start collecting certain things. I can kind of see it. Kind of going back. And you're going forward. Go back and you go forward. You'll start understanding more of what we're talking about. But consciousness is basically what is able to make your own decision. If you've never made a decision for yourself, and you can say, hey, I did that on my own. I'm pretty sure you can add it up to a bad decision.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what we're trying to do is teach you how to do opposite. Basically. Reverse the effect. Because of the way we were raised. It's no bullshit. It's serious. We're never really taught the right way. It's all in our roots. And whatever they lie to themselves about, they basically lie to everybody else.
Including their own children.
Including their own children. And so that's what leaves us always wondering why. We're always asking ourselves, why? Why? Well, I got a whole book of why. And she understand. It took a while to teach her. But now she can understand the whole decoding process. Wizard of Oz. It's about the heart, the soul, which which is, your mind is what we're trying to teach you. And the strength and the courage, basically.
Yeah.
That's the same thing you're ever going to find in any song, anything. Any Disney, it's always there. Every Disney movie can speak exactly what we're talking about, but they put it in a twisted way that makes them millions of dollars. And so that's how you reverse the effects of life, because there's two ways to live. Once you start actually living the good, decent way, which is why people go to church, trying to figure out all this shit, you'll never understand there's a duality within our life. If I'm speaking of three people within us right now, a triad, 3 points, masculine, feminine, then your Holy Spirit. Well, your masculine is basically your father, or any male experience you're ever going to experience in your life. The feminine is whatever you choose to mirror off and become of. Your mother, a friend, probably yourself sometimes, but that's the balance that people talk about within your mind. And then from there, you'll find your higher self, which is your Holy Spirit. I'm shaping a triangle and shit. But that's the whole goal of all this, because it's very important, and you never really figure out what you want to do in life. Some people waste their time. Job-wise, I've mastered like 6-7 jobs, but I just don't see myself staying there like the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And I always had that mind thinking of there's something else out there, whatever. And this awakening kind of like mashed all that together. And I was literally able to figure out how to make money beyond of what we see, like music, right? Movies, writing. If you're a writer, a journalist, why? Because there's two ways to live in the world, literally. It's not just like a word, a saying out there, live good or bad. No. If you really do reverse and look, you stop, have that time to think, step yourself out from everybody. You can do that by looking at yourself. If you can judge other people, you're only judging them based off yourself, because you kind of know what you're going to do because of that lifestyle that you learn from, right? If you learn something, you're going to pass the test. You're going to know how to act like the pack.
Yeah.
And so you step out of that by kind of looking at yourself and understand what the other way of living is. And what I mean by that is you study yourself first. And narcissism, I don't know if you've heard of it, looked it up, whatever. It's in the same effect that inflicts us in a household from being taught. You can look it up, you can see anything is going to come down to either your mom or your boss. Either or. And then from there you're going to understand you live in a life. And you're able to jump out of that and see those two sides of the world. And nobody really can do that. It's very hard. Unless you're taught. Other than that, you're going to keep on getting treated the same way anybody else would treat you, because there's 2-3 different ways to treat you, basically. People have been coming up with more too, but they're either going to use you, one or the other. And you being a female, it sucks because males, that's always what they want. I'm sure you've already thought and figured that in life, but it becomes your illusion. Because at that point, they're like a video game player. What do I have to do to get this chick? Picture it as a video game. Video games. I gotta buy this outfit. I gotta dress my avatar up. I gotta make him look good, however they see it. And it's the same effect in their mind. They're like lying to themselves, exaggerating themselves, blah, 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 blah. Those are those people that kind of like put on that mask just like other people do. And when somebody really puts on that mask, and they keep it on, it creates an illusion. And so we're trying to pop people out of that illusion. Doing so, it shows you 2 different ways to live, and then you apply it in your passion, which is your work, and you can create anything you want, basically. And that's how, when you're stuck in the system, if you're one of those people that like buy the CD when it first comes out, or concert tickets, boom, it's because people like us have figured out a way to, I've made many songs in here, and if I had the money, I can produce my shit out there, but, famous people do that, and they already have money because their parents, whatever, blah, 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 so forth.